Hey guys, it's Chris Sandovan here. I'm at the Vicksburg National Military Park, and I tried to do a live stream before, but it's not working. There's not enough connection here, which is great because it shows there's no towers, and therefore not a lot of opportunity for live streaming. So I'm just doing a quick video for you guys and showing you what I see here, and then be able to upload it for you before our tour of Jackson. All right, so I'm up here on this ridge, which is showing us sort of where the Union Canon fortifications were positioned. This post here talks about the overwhelming firepower that Captain Samuel de Goyer had in having this concentrated area of cannons. Apparently what happened was that the Confederate forces were out there, the other ridge line behind where that forest has kind of grown back in. But this area was largely emptied from farming, and then the Confederate forces had chopped down a lot of the other trees that would have been in this area in the past to help fortify their positions. And their strategy was to spread out their cannons along the ridge, whereas the Union troops had their cannons all kind of positioned together like this. The advantage for them being that they were able to see a Confederate cannon that might have fired at the direction as a one-off, over there or over there, and then they'd return concentrated fire from a whole battery of cannons, knocking out the individual Confederate positions. And this went on for around 47 days as part of the siege of Vicksburg, until eventually the Confederate forces were forced to surrender. So I've driven by here once just to get a feeling of what the bandwidth was, and I couldn't get any good signal, hence why this is a video right now. But I just wanted to go along and walk up towards the main memorial space and show you sort of what this area looks like. So you have these memorial monoliths throughout this national park, and there's a road that runs through it, which is over 16 miles long, which gives us a sense of, gosh, the enormity of this memorial space. And as you go, you've got these different these monoliths to different states, and then specifically to the different military units. So this is the 17th Infantry here, and speaks to their casualties, their leaders, a bit of their history. And this is something you see again and again throughout the space. Can you hear the birds in the background? It's really peaceful and quiet here. It's so weird to think how different it would have been during the Civil War, during the siege. So yeah. I'm not a Civil War buff or Civil War historian by any shape or means of it. I guess I'm not really a war buff in general. I've always been more interested, I guess, in the victims of war and tyranny. And often those mean civilians. Although, of course, soldiers are victims of war and tyranny as well, aren't they? I mean, maybe they're the predominant victims of war and tyranny. I'm sure that, as is often, the case in the stories that we hear, cousin against cousin, right? Brother against brother at times. Certainly classmate against classmate, as we learned when we were in Charleston, that the commanding officer of Fort Sumter was classmates with General Beauregard, who ordered the surrender of Fort Sumter. Sorry about the wind. I'm trying to cup the microphone a little bit here so it's not so windy for you guys. As we head up, looking out across this battlefield and head up towards this Rotunda Memorial Mausoleum. It's the one that I've seen in all the pictures, but again, I'm so poorly visited here, and this is my first time, and I wanted to share it with you guys as I head up this hill, hoping to have live streamed it. What does it say? Union Trench, Logan's Division. I've seen a statue to Logan in another place. I'm pretty sure he was a brigadier general here at Vicksburg. Now, even though I'm doing I'm not able, right now a lot of things are closed. The positive of visiting right now was that I didn't have to pay a $20 entrance fee to come in here, which is nice. I would gladly give it to the National Park Service, of course. Can't imagine money better spent than supporting the National Park Service. There's a lot of good places to spend money, of course, but that's one of them. Yeah, the ticket booth was closed, which also meant that there were no guides available from, the Park Service, which usually there would have been. I was gonna just hire in a guide to help, well, for my own personal knowledge, let alone sharing it with you guys. Another memorial here to the U.S. Missouri 17th Corps 3rd Division, 3rd Brigade, Brigadier General John D. Stevenson. A lot of these names ring a bell to me because I've been listening to this incredible podcast from a guy who was a Yale professor, actually. Let me see. Oh, my phone's messed up now. David Blight. So if you search on your podcast list and you look for Professor David Blight, History 119, which is an open Yale course, it's the Civil War and Reconstruction era from 1845 to 1877. And I've listened to, around 15, 16 hours of this incredibly compelling and interesting podcast series. And I really recommend you guys listening to it if you are interested in the Civil War, which is America's war of highest casualty numbers. Clearly more Americans died during the Civil War than all other wars Americans have fought in combined. So I'm walking up this hill. We're about to get blocked off a little bit as I come around the corner. And maybe I'll just say hi really quick as we approach these memorials in front of us. Yep, there's me again. So, what are my impressions of this place? It's so sad. Just like so many people convinced in what they were fighting for or about fighting. It's just such a waste of life. On both sides, of course, and it's just, please America, no more civil wars, Like, nothing's better than this. Here, let me show you guys. Well, I tried to live stream a video before heading up to to Ulysses S. Grant's memorial. It is very close to where there's some information about Sherman as well. Sherman, infamous in the South for his pledge to make Georgia howl as he marched to the sea. Once the Civil War became no longer kind of a disagreement within a union of states, but became a war of complete and total conquest. Meaning that, of course, the Union forces would work to destroy everything that powered the Confederacy, from their infrastructure to their transportation networks, to the industry that they had, and certainly the powerhouse of their economy, which was slavery. The most valuable kind of aspect the Confederacy had going for them, because it was their labor force and the production of cotton, which was so valuable then, almost valuable enough to bring the British in to the war. And you sort of wonder, if the British had entered into the war and the Union was fighting a battle on two fronts. There he is, Major General John A. Logan. I've seen a lot of Logan stuff. Try not to cut your head off, Mr. Logan, or excuse me, Major General. Oh, God, cut your head off again. There he is. That mustache. Yeah. So he's commanding the 3rd Division, 17th Army Corps. Okay. Yeah. Impressive. Right. So what if the British had entered in from Canada on behalf of the Confederacy, and all of a sudden the Union was facing that two-front war? Thank you, Ohio, for your service. It would have been bad news, for sure. And that's one of the things that David Blight speaks to and argues in his podcast series, that there were some tactical mistakes and errors made by the Confederacy, naturally. And if it had been different, it would have resulted in them having a much better go at the war. Part of it's the British not entering in, but part of it is also Lee making the decision twice to invade the North. And one wonders if the Confederacy had waited for the Union armies to just invade the South, which the Union did to often disastrous consequences, would it have been a different future for the Confederacy then? Who knows, right? We'll never know. Let's take a quick look at the battlefield from this angle now. You can imagine, yeah, in this direction up here. Again, that's where those Canon fortifications are. And you can see some of the Canon fortifications in this direction. There's one there, one there, one there for the Confederates. So if the Union had just been allowed to, throw its armies up against fortified positions, like in Vicksburg, which took 47 days in a siege, well, would the Confederacy, been able to conserve its resources and conserve its troops to be able to persevere? Here you go. This is what we're going to go and look at right now. How important was Vicksburg to the war and to those who fought here? It was pretty important. It's pretty important, apparently. Gettysburg, Vicksburg. There was a port, I think it's called Port Henry, along the Mississippi, which was also a turning point or a significant battle, and Union control of it. really in the 1863 would start to, these decisive victories would really start to turn the tide of the war in the favor of the Union. Let's go inside the space. Look at this. Illinois. That gold eagle. Yeah, Greek style temple. These early, this is the Doric Columns. Someone will correct me if I'm wrong. There's other people in here. I'm not going to talk because I don't want to bother other people, but if I'm the only one in here, I will keep talking to you guys. What do we have here? There's Lincoln. I feel like that's Grant, but I don't know. It says Yates. Me not being a Civil War buff is not helping here, but you're experiencing it the way that I'm experiencing it for the first time. Wow, this room's incredible. It looks like, we have the names of those honored in the leading of these troops. But then also only have the actual infantrymen listed out here. I wonder, there's people coming. I'm going to stop talking for a second as we just look around, okay? I don't want to bother others, even if they're talking. I won't. They're definitely talking. It says, Illinois erects this monument in grateful remembrance of the services, the sufferings, the sacrifices, and the devotion of her sons who participated on land and water in the campaign and siege of Vicksburg from March 29th to July 4th, 1863. The names enrolled within this structure in marble and bronze are of the officers and men of Illinois who served in that memorable campaign and siege, and who filled the ranks of the 79 Illinois organizations in General Grant's army. The quote down here at the bottom. Not without thy wondrous story, Illinois, Illinois, can be writ the nation's glory, Illinois, Illinois. On the records of thy years, Abraham Lincoln's name appears, Grant and Logan and our tears. Illinois, Illinois, 1906. What a wondrous sight it must be to see this when it's raining. This open hole in the roof. Alright guys, well I'm really sorry that couldn't have been a live broadcast. I'm going to post it now because it'll feel almost live, but it'll be a better signal for you to be able to enjoy it. and I'll see you in Jackson in just a little while. I feel like that's a song title. See you in Jackson. Remember, 2 o'clock Central Time, 3 o'clock Eastern Time, and that being 7 p.m. in the UK and Portugal and 8 p.m. in continental Europe. We're going to have a great live stream of Jackson, Mississippi with Jane Jones from More Than a Tourist. And it promises to be a really great visit to Jackson. I'm excited. Hope you guys are too, and I'm looking forward to seeing you there and coming on a walk with me and Jane. Until then, I will see you guys later. Take care.